Hi guys, you're welcome to this YouTube channel. So please, I would like you to subscribe, like, and comment. So we have a question in law of indices. So we're told to simplify this. And this calls to mind division rule. Division rule states that if we have a raised to power m divided by a raised to power n, right? Which is equivalent to a raised to power m divided by a raised to power n. This is equals to a raised to power m minus n. So the division will convert to become subtraction in our power, right? So that in this question, we are having f raised to power 1 all over 2, right? G raised to power 2, h raised to power 1 over 3 divided by f raised to power 5 over 2, g raised to power 0, and then we have h raised to power 7 over 3. In this, we are going to collect the like terms and then apply our division rule such that it will now look like this. That is f raised to power 1 all over 2 minus 5 over 2, right? G raised to power 2 minus 0. And then we have h raised to power 1 over 3 minus 7 over 3. So if you can recall from our previous video on fractions, this is a bit easier. So there are two denominators. So it will now be having f raised to power minus 4 over 2. If you don't understand what I did here, you can recall back to our first video. You understand it better. So g raised to power 2. Then this minus this is h raised to power minus 6 over 3. So that this is the same thing as. Then here now we have a negative index as a negative power. And in this case, it will bring us to the inverse rule, which is that a raised to power minus 2. This is the same thing as 1 all over a raised to power 2. 1 all over 2. So this thing now will now make the a to become a denominator while 1 will be on top. So here now we are still simplifying this. This is the same thing as f raised to power 2 going to minus 4 will give us minus 2. G raised to power 2 and h raised to power 3 going to minus 6 will give us minus 2. So in this case, we apply this law I mentioned here, so that this will be written as 1 over f raised to power 2 times g raised to power 2, then times 1 over h raised to power 2. Which, when we go forward, I will now have 1 times g squared times 1 will give us then as g. So g raised to power 2 all over. This is also over 1. F raised to power 2 times 1 is f raised to power 2. F raised to power 2 times h raised to power 2 will be written as f raised to power 2 h raised to power 2. And this is our final answer. Thank you for staying tuned. Please click that notification bell so that whenever we post our videos, you'll get to be notified. Thank you.
Please subscribe, like, and comment.